Last weekend was so special. We had a wonderful time at Riverside Bible Camp. Pastor Vince preached 4 sessions on the book of Ephesians. It was marvelous.
Well, we started this weekend in Ephesians 1, talking about salvation, right? The importance of building our lives on Jesus Christ and Him alone. And then we looked at chapter 2, transformation, the difference of our lives before Christ and our lives after turning to Him. And then we saw that great mystery in chapter 3, that the salvation that God offers is open to everybody, not just the Jews, His chosen people. And then, well, we looked then at chapter 4 and focused on that biblical formula for all of life, putting off and putting on. And so now we're going to pick up where we left off in chapter 4. We're going to start in verses 31 and 32 again, because that really leads right into chapter 5. So look with me again, Ephesians 4, 31 and 32. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. And so we talked about, right, that was really the summary of all that Paul had been talking about leading up to that idea of putting off and putting on. And now as we look to chapter 5, he continues really in that vein, but turns the corner and talks about it in a different way. So chapter 5, verse 1, we'll look at 1 through 5. Therefore, be imitators of God as dear children. And whenever we see, particularly, always remember when we're looking at chapters and verses, right? Those were put in afterwards, and they're a wonderful index system, help us find where things are at. But the chapter and verses don't always necessarily line up with the thought ideas, right? And the thought sections. So whenever we start a chapter or a verse, or here both, with the word therefore, right? That's coming out of whatever's before. And we can ask ourselves, well, what is it there for, right? What comes before that? And so we've laid that out, understanding what Paul has said before this. He then, particularly in verse 32, right, talking about how we ought to be walking, right, ending that with forgiving others, as God in Christ forgave us. Therefore, be imitators of God as dear children. Verse 2, and walk in love, as Christ has also loved us and given Himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. So, this section in chapter 5, Paul now lays out 3 different walks, right? And we talked about how this latter part of the book is how do we walk the walk of a believer? How do we walk as a follower of Christ? And in chapter 5 here, we're going to see 3 different walks. And the first walk, the first call for us is to walk in love. Love here, they're different.
Then we had a birthday. This little cutie pie turned 3. Ella and Joanna went on an Auntie Ella date to the Twin Cities to their favorite violin shop. And Joanna tried a beautiful Baroque violin. But just because it's Baroque doesn't mean you have to fix it. Ella found a gorgeous violin that may come home with her. is looking quite dapper as usual, darlings. And I, Dawn, have been enjoying this fantastic long growing season. October 8th, and we have not had a hard frost. So I'm collecting eggplants and green beans and amazingness. Oh my.
This is the haul. All these zucchinis. This completely amazing hybrid. I think this is auto squash meets one of the weird stripy miniature squashes. And my eggplants and my big bowl of tomatoes and all my cherry tomatoes that I didn't plant except for that weird little purple one. And these were half-eaten moldy squashes, but I rescued the end of them. And then this are alien squashes. I have no idea of what variety. And all my peppers, and I even have this cool purple pepper. And I love gardening. But yeah,